Okay, hello, good morning. Welcome to 5 Minutes to Happy, where we spread happiness, the message of hope and happiness to others. I'm going to jump right in today, testing things out. Today's episode 12, and we're talking about why men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. So this is a pretty heavy topic, so let's get strapped right in. I'm just going to jump right in today. Let's try something new. Now, did you know that men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women? Did you know that? Well, it is a fact. It is a fact. But before we really dive into that, let me share a story with you. Okay, let me share a personal story with you, my own experience. I was dating this girl, and we had a fight, which I cried. I cried in the fight. Then she then told me, "Don't cry. You're a man. You shouldn't cry." So the entire time we dated, I tried my best to be, manly and macho, a guy who wouldn't show weakness or who wouldn't show emotions. But in pretending to be strong all the time, this was probably when I was at the weakest, the weakest point in my entire life. Looking back, because I wasn't allowed or I was discouraged from expressing my emotions, I got very angry and I got depressed. This was the closest time that I even got to thinking about suicide. Now, I'm doing a lot better now, thankfully, but I do want to address this. This is something I think it's really important. We're brought up in a society where there are certain expectations from men. There are certain expectations. Men are strong. They don't cry. They don't show their emotions, not to their wives, and especially not to other men. Men, we must be the providers of the family, and we have to anticipate every need of the women. The expectation that men are obsessed with sex. The thought that that's the main reason why we be in a relationship or enter a marriage, right? Now, because of these expectations, because women are expected, men are molded to become emotionless, sex-obsessed, eternal providers. And this sounds so grim, diba? So it sounds so sad and depressing and crazy, but this is ingrained. It's drilled into us as kids. And then there's so much pressure on men surrounding this. Thankfully, my parents never told me not to cry, but many parents teach their kids, teach their male children that crying is something to be ashamed of. My parents didn't, once again, but my classmates, my teachers, and television were delivering me that message that you shouldn't show emotions, you shouldn't cry. That it's a weakness. And this is something that I personally struggled with for over 20 years. In fact, it's only in recent years that I've fully come to realize the full effects of hiding emotion, and it's only recently that I'm recovering from it. Unlike with women, they feel safe crying, they feel safe releasing emotions, but men have the tendency to hide or repress our emotions because we're discouraged from doing so. And since we can't safely release our emotions through crying or other expressions, what we do is we bottle our emotions up. And this just adds more and more pressure until, we can't take it anymore. The tendency for men is that we just explode. Right? Men find an outlet for our bottled up emotions, which can even lead to suicide. And what are these outlets where we release emotions? The common outlets. It's very common that we see substance abuse in men. We see drugs, we see alcohol, we see cigarettes, because men are more inclined to turn to these substances to provide that temporary relief from the pressure of the emotions that have been bottled up, that have been kept together. But this relief, it's only temporary. And even worse, it can become addictive. And we see this in cases of alcohol abuse, of meth, of shabu abuse, becomes destructive, this kind of relief. Other temporary reliefs can be food, right? Other men, they turn to eating a lot of food or having a lot of sex. And remember how men, we're supposed to be macho. We're expected to be manly and macho. Aggression is expected, and it's even encouraged that men be aggressive, right? Men who have repressed emotions, who keep the emotions in, we have greater chances of releasing these emotions through to their parents, to their family, to their spouses, in the form of being overly controlling and even being verbally, physically, and sexually abusive. But these outlets, they oftentimes just make things worse, right? These temporary outlets. The common picture is, this is very common even in the Philippines, right? We see a man becomes addicted to alcohol, beats up, rapes his wife, and things just get worse. So what can we do? How can we stop this? What can we do to help, right? We have to break this cycle of toxic masculinity. That's what it's called. We have to encourage men to show their emotions, encourage men to cry, encourage men to release the emotions that they're feeling inside. Let them know that it's not their responsibility to provide for all of a woman's needs. Teach them to love, to express love, and not be just sex obsessed. So wives, if you have a wife or girlfriends, help your husbands be more emotional. Parents, you can teach your kids and even encourage your kids, your males, to cry. And guys, men, we have to be more comfortable with expressing our emotions. And this is something I've been struggling with, Over 20 years, I've been taught that emotions are a weakness. So I struggled with it for the longest time. But we have to start somewhere. We have to be more emotionally healthy as men if we want to be better, if we want to be happier, if we want to love others, right? So I want us to make this commitment, okay? There's a comment. It's a commitment for those of you that aren't familiar with the concept. Just comment this down below and make this commitment. If you're a man, you can say, I will be more emotionally open. And if you're a woman, you can say, I will help men be more emotionally open. Okay, so that's our session for today. You have a great weekend. Bye-bye.